Hi everyone, Bob Mehsikomer here. Welcome to the show. We're sitting with a gentleman by the name of Dale Helgeson, folks, which we're going to get to in just a minute. He is a walleye pro. But before we get that far along, I want to tell you something. The noise in this building is outrageous right now. The people in here, they are stacked on top of one another. We are at the Sentinel Milwaukee Sports Show in West Allis, Illinois, Wisconsin, not Illinois.
Wisconsin.
Oh, there you go. That's live for you. What can I say? It just is what it is. I've got, like I said, I've got a gentleman with me on the side of me right now. I'm going to introduce him, Dale Helgeson. Dale, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Bob?
I'm doing really well. I want to talk walleye fishing, but before we get deep into this, I want to talk, what are the walleye fishermen going to be looking for when they head out opening weekend?
Well, there depends on where you're at, because if you're in the river and there is no opening weekend, they're fishing them already.
So up in Green Bay at the mouth of the Fox, they're in them.
Up in the Pier, Wisconsin Dells, out on the Mississippi, they're already hitting them. They're starting to fish Detroit River, so they're kind of hitting them all already. So,
all right, assuming that they're already hitting them, what are they doing to catch those fish? Because that's what people want to know. They want to know, how do I, the angler, how do I go out to find those fish? How do I catch them?
typically, most of them are out there just vertical jigging, usually using jigs and minnows or jigs and plastic. You go up to the pier, they're running a lot of blade baits. Rip and wraps are real popular up there. But you'll still see a lot of guys vertical jigging in the river right now. Right now, the whole purpose of the walleyes in the river is they're going upriver to spawn. So they're not on feeding frenzies. You got to get reaction bites, and they're going upriver just to spawn.
So what we're actually fishing right now, for some degree, is pre-spawn fish.
Correct.
Fish that are still carrying eggs. So a 32 could go 13 pounds.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to be as fat as they're ever going to be right now.
That's it, man. That's time to be on them. If you're going to catch one of those big brutes, those big bronze ones, folks, that we all call walleye, you're going to catch a big one. This is the time of the year to do it. But I want to say, before you jump into catching them, be aware. These big females are carrying the next generation with them, and we need to put them back.
Yeah, and especially that mid-20 range, a lot of their eggs are the ones that grow. Once they get bigger, sometimes it's all right to keep them over 28. A lot of those eggs don't actually hatch.
Yeah, that might be, but the genetics that are in those 28s are the key.
It's true. I mean, but really the genetics, a lot of it is just being able to live long enough to get big. But we've done a lot of studies on the birth rates of the eggs. But if you're going to keep one to mount, I would say keep a really big one. Leave those mid-20s especially alone. Those are the healthiest breeders in the system that are going to produce the most offspring.
Yeah, and we don't really want to overlook, we talk about mounting fish. Everybody likes the glory of having one on the wall. But we've got graphite reproductions nowadays. Yep. We can take a very good picture. We've got our telephones out there. Everybody can snap a really good picture, get that fish put back, and take it to your taxidermist for a graphite. We've been preaching that for decades, and I think it's part of what has saved musky fishing.
Oh, and I totally agree. I mean, I have my guide service booth here, and people are asking me, you're a pro walleye fisherman, but you have no walleyes mounted on the wall. I don't keep unless they're small eaters.
Yeah, exactly.
I let them go because it's better for the ecosystem.
Exactly. We brought you on and we were talking about your established professional fishing. You're fishing walleye tournaments. You're fishing trails?
Yes, I'm fishing the National Walleye Tour, the NWT, and I'm also going to do a couple of head-to-head tournaments. One's actually a bass walleye combo event.
Well, that's unusual.
And I'm fishing with Hall of Famer Daryl Christensen on a bass event for fun at Lake Geneva.
Wow, okay. So I have a question then. You going to come fish in one of our team's fishing circuit tournaments?
Maybe. We'll have to talk.
Let's see, we're on Winnebago, August 18th through the 21st. That's not too far away.
No, that's not too far away for sure.
Yeah, and you got the entire resource if you wanted to fish it. But we're not here to talk about Team Fishing Circuit. We're here to talk about Dale and what he's doing. Let's talk about the national circuit you're fishing. What does it take to get into something like that? What are anglers expecting to pay for entry fees? What are the rewards if they get to the top of the game?
Yeah, the entry fees are $1,750 a tournament. First place is $15,000 in a new Ranger boat. So the playoff's pretty good. There's 130 pros. We get matched up with a different amateur every day. And we provide all the equipment for these guys. So not only do we have a boat that can make big runs if we need to have all the equipment to supply another angler with all their equipment.
So the entry fee you're talking about is on the pro side. What's the amateur entry fee?
I think they're $500 to be an amateur.
$500 to be an amateur. And then are they fishing for a different purse then, or are they?
Yeah, they have a smaller purse. I want to say theirs is like $6,000.
$6,000. So there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money up for grabs right there, no doubt about it. All that being said, in the walleye tournaments, I know if we go back to the Gary Roach days, and I know Gary personally, he was what we call a stick fisherman, a stand-up fisherman. He's a jig fisherman.
Yep.
And walleye fishing is really grown well beyond that, even though there are some still doing it, and they're good at it. But the truth of the matter is, it's bigger than that nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, and with the new electronics, it's taken it to a completely different level.
And you guys are depending on those electronics heavily?
Yeah. If you don't use your electronics now, you're gonna be left behind. That's why a lot of these young guys are really dominating now. They understand the electronics, and the older guys, if we don't keep up with that, you're going to fall behind pretty quick, because you can see everything so fast and so clear live, and you can see how the fish react to baits as you throw them in the water. If you don't keep up with that, you're going to be left behind, because you could be fishing water that doesn't have the right fish in it, not as active. You don't know how they're reacting to your baits. You know, I run Lowrance. I'm sponsored by Lowrance. And with my active target, you watch how the fish react to baits. If they don't react right, you put it down and throw a different bait in.
Now, when we're doing that, are we casting to them, or are we
Yes.
trolling? So,
Typically,
trolling sense, can you relocate your transducer so it picks up what's behind the boat? Is that possible?
yes. If you're running a pole or multiple transducers, you can run it out the back, and there's different modes you can run. If you're running them tight to the boat, you run usually forward mode, just point it backwards. If you're running it a wider spread, you're going to want to use a scout mode to get a little wider view. But that's all live, so you can see how the fish are reacting to your baits. You can see, like, if you're trolling in a river with like a three-way, people don't realize sometimes that crankbait is actually below your sinker.
Yeah.
So now you can see where your crankbait is in relationship to not only your sinker, but the bottom, so you can keep it at the right depth, and you see how fish react to it. And maybe you need to change that bait to a different style with a different wobble or a bead in it, some BBs in it. Just something to make a little more noise. But you see how they react, so you can try to set a pattern together.
The walleye tournaments, are you governed to one rod, or can you use two rods? Or
No, we can use two apiece on some. It depends on the bodies of water, what state they're in. But we can use two rods apiece.
What lakes are you fishing this year?
This year, our first tournament's in Detroit River. Then we go to Chamberlain, South Dakota, Prairie du Chien, and we do Marinette, Wisconsin.
Covering some real estate.
Yeah, championships in Dunkirk, New York.
Wow. So you're going east to west, back out east again.
Yep.
Miles, miles, miles.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive with gas. I need a gas sponsor.
Don't we all? I just gassed up this morning, by the way, to get ready to head back home tomorrow. $126 for the fuel in my diesel, and quite frankly, it wasn't empty.
Yeah, my new boat just came in Tuesday, and I went to put gas in it, and I like to run premium in it. It's got a 58-gallon tank. So I'm going to have to take out a loan to fill my boat.
What are we running for a boat?
I'm running a new Triton 206 with a Mercury 300 on it.
Merc 300. That thing's not going to be easy on gas.
No, you're going to have to watch the RPMs for sure.
All right, let's get back to the serious stuff at hand. What is Dale's favorite way to catch walleyes in, say, your first tournament you're headed to?
Detroit River. I like pitching the jigs up in shallow water for the big walleyes. I'll do a little vertical jigging. If the water is dirty, I'll handline or run three-way rigs with cranks, but it's pretty much casting. I like casting. I like the rod in hand as much as possible.
What rods are we campaigning the circuit with?
I'm running Razr Rodz.
Oh, you are?
Razr Rodz, I feel, are the most sensitive rod on the market with their blank design.
Yeah. They've done a great job with those rods.
Yeah, and they have all stainless pressed eyes, so I can run my braid without having to worry about it digging into a ceramic.
Yeah.
I can run braid to a swivel with a fluoro leader if needed in clear water, and I can reel that swivel in with the big eyes and not damage the eyes and run a longer leader if I need to.
Ah, that's nice.
So there's a lot of advantages to it, but the sensitivity is what's important to me because the more bites you can feel, the more fish you can catch.
Absolutely.
And the fish are money for me.
Links, yes, absolutely, without question. Links and actions, where are we settling? I realize that's a wide open question. It's almost loaded. But let's talk about your first specific interest rod. Which the one you like the most? Length, action.
If I'm vertical jigging, I'm running a 6-foot medium.
Really?
Yep. I'm running the 6-foot medium on Detroit, even though we're running 3/4 to 1 ounce jigs. I'm running the Razr Rod Max rod. It's got a fast tip and real stiff backbone, which will handle those heavy jigs. If I'm casting, I'll go up to a 7-foot. I run some medium lights if I'm running real light jigs to pitch up in the shallow water and just work it down in the current.
Are most of these spinning rods? Or
Yeah, I primarily use spinning.
use spinning rods, so not a lot of leaning on the bait caster.
No.
I see. All right. One of the ways I like to catch walleyes, especially early in the season, is pulling sticks.
Yep.
I love to cast stick baits, jerk baits. Oftentimes you'll get these big fish, they'll move up in there, and they can be a hoot on stick baits. And when you load up on the kind of fish we're all looking for on those, they load those rods. You know,
Yep.
people call a walleye a wimpy fish. Well, and not at 10 and 12 pounds.
No.
There's no such thing as wimp in them. Those fish have got a lot of...
The Detroit River fish actually fight really well. They pull hard.
So you know we got something on there.
Oh, yeah.
Is that because of the current, or is that because of the stout body configurations from living in the current?
Well, I think it's a combination of the current and the pure size of them.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of these fish are coming up out of Lake Erie or Lake St. Clair, so they're big fish and they'll fight. When they get in that river, they got that extra current, so they really want to fight, and they're there to spawn. Their life depends on it, and they want to produce. So
They want to make babies. Nets. Are nets allowed in your tournaments?
Yes.
They are allowed,
Yep.
so you guys can net. Now, I'm sure because you're fishing out of high-sided boats, you're fishing out of big boats. I'm sure you've got extended nets or any, that
Yep.
telescope out, and any particular brand or net or something that you might choose or want somebody to be
I'm actually not sponsored, but I'm using the Ego Net.
Okay.
They have the replaceable heads. You can turn them on and off, but they work really well.
And you don't need to be sponsored by something to
Nope.
use it.
No.
I mean, let's be honest about it. Most of us that fish at the level that you and I do, we're fishing something because we've either gravitated to it because it's great, or it's serviced the job that we need every day, day in and day out. It's not because somebody pinned $1 on it.
Nope.
It's because it fits the job.
It produces.
It produces, gets the job done. In this game, sponsorship is important. As you just mentioned, they're not a sponsor. So who are some of the sponsors that help Dale get on the water? Because that's critical.
Oh, without them, we're not on the water.
Right.
Razr Rodz is my #1 sponsor. And I didn't have to switch to them, but their rods, I fell in love with them. The sensitivity is unmatched, so I switched to them. Johnson Pump, I'll be running all their aeration, bilge pumps, washout station in my boat. Bait Box on the Rock, great bait shop on the Rock River. Lowrance, Mercury, Dakota lithium batteries. Last year in the Detroit River, I blew the cells out of my battery, and Dakota stepped up and sponsored me. And I have not had a problem since I switched to their batteries.
Lithium batteries are literally they're the nemesis everybody's been looking for. They're the answer to using all these big electronics. When people can't survive the power through the day, these lithium batteries seem to be doing the job, but they are not cheap.
No, they're not cheap, but they hold up.
I was talking to a gentleman who manufactures them, and I believe he told me that he had a battery of, such and such scope, 36 volts.
Yep.
In the
they
one
make
battery.
One battery, 36 volts.
In the one battery. And I'm thinking to myself, a lot of us out there, bass fishermen, musky fishermen and stuff, 36 volt trolling motors are pretty much the mainstay. And I'm
Yep.
guessing it's probably the same in you guys' game. So when you can dedicate a 36-volt battery to one product, dedicate 36-volt battery to the other products, have a charging system built into it that handles it, you're still a battery light plus off of what you were carrying 3 batteries, because they're lighter.
Well, the batteries are about 40 to 60% lighter.
Right,
So
exactly.
you save a lot of weight by putting in, which will help with the gas mileage as well. And I switched to the Ghost trolling motor as well. And with that brushless motor combined with the lithium batteries, I've actually trolled without using my kicker motor last year for 14 hours and never drained my battery down.
Ouch, man, that's amazing. And a lot of people out here are suiting up new boats. You know, they're getting ready to do it or getting ready to make the purchase. Knowing what to put on that boat and knowing the brand, for instance, that you're using can be critical, because when they go to that dealer, they have an insight on what they want. They're not being told, well, this is what we go in with the knowledge of what you're looking for.
Well, and they need to think about how they fish, how long they fish, and what they really do in the boat to match it to their programs. You know, if they're just a weekend angler going out for 2 hours, it's not as important as somebody that's going to be out there for 8 or 10 hours.
Other sponsors we might want to bring up?
Sure, Walleye Nation Creations, great baits. And if anybody hasn't tried out their death jig for walleyes, it's going to be a great bait this spring. I have Daiichi hooks, Fish Cool line. It's a new line sponsor I'm using this year.
Is that floral? Is it braid? Is it?
They have braid, mono, and floral.
They do. So
Yep.
they're carrying the entire product.
They're carried on Amazon right now. Nurka mounts is the mounts I use for my
What is it
crafts.
called again?
Fish Cool.
Fish Cool.
Fish Cool.
Fish Cool. FISHKOOL. Fish Cool line.
Yep.
Awesome.
I'm using Nurka mounts for my electronics and RAM mounts for all my rod holders. I run R1 concept brakes, high-end brakes on my truck, because brakes are important when you're pulling a 4,400 pound boat around.
So you've actually replaced the brakes on your truck with a sponsored product as well.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted some high-end brakes because I'm pulling, a very expensive boat with a lot of equipment. I don't want to risk not being able to stop. I got Rock Tricks wheels, make my truck look a little cooler.
How can I get involved with them? I can use some dressing up on my new Silverado. Put something really nice on there for me. Make it all happen. You've got. Go ahead. You've got more.
Yeah, lure lock tackle trays. If you have not used them, they do have some with proprietary gel in them, so your baits don't slide around and bang up and chip. Windstream rain suits and ice gear. They make great rain suits and ice suits, flotation ice suits. Tiny's baits on the jig. They do all my hair jigs. And Diamond Graphics wrap my boat and truck for me.
Folks, this is not an exercise in pushing brand names. This is an exercise in people understanding what a professional pulls out of his arsenal in terms of getting the job done. I say that because when you leave out to head for a tournament, you've got to know that what you're taking with you is functional. You've got to know that there's dependability. You've got to know that there's a support someplace along the line if something went bad. Everybody knows things can go bad. So I really, really want to thank Dale for coming on. I want to thank him for talking about what we're talking about in terms of sponsors and how he's using it. But before we get away, I've got to ask him one question. Dale, this is for you. We're talking to an audience out there. What do you want to tell them to get them into the sport of professional walleye fishing? How do we do it?
Go out and get a rod or hire a guide and at least get out fishing. But just go. There's free days in every state. Get out there and utilize them. There's kids events in every state. We do a kids event at every tournament. Come to them and just get out.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Folks, he is at the show. What's your booth number?
I'm not sure what to do nothing.
Okay,
I'm
well,
right across from Razr Rodz.
They're right across from his. You'll find them here at the show, folks. If you haven't attended one of the local sports shows, if you're in the Milwaukee area, get on out here to West Allis State Fairgrounds. Get on out to the Sentinel sports show going on right now. Come on out, meet these guys. We've had some of these pros on with us. I can't tell you enough about it. This show is pounding right now. You can hear the audience in the background. We've got all we can do to fight the audio that's in here. With that being said, come on out and be a part of it, because you know what?
I got a question for you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, Bob, I got a question for you. I was talking to you earlier. about you're going to put on a couple walleye tournaments next year.
He's digging into that box. All right, not a couple, just one. We are at Team Fishing Circuit. We are genuinely looking into the probability of a Team Fishing Circuit walleye tournament on our format. It will be a pro-am event. The way it's being structured right now is still up in the air, but we're looking at an entry fee of about $1,500. I think that puts the payback on first place somewhere around the $80,000-$90,000 mark on a full field. It will be an amateur, a pro-am, like I said. Amateurs, we're looking at our amateurs to come in for a little less than $500. We'll bring them in for $250. They'll get an education like they've never got before. It's not about GPS waypoints. It's not about things like you will be in the boat watching somebody that does it for a living. That being said, I'm telling you, they're going to pull out all the tricks. They're going to have a shot at it. That is looking to be held on Vermilion Lake in Minnesota. So we've got trollable water, castable water, you name it, it's all going to be there. And we're excited about possibly bringing that tournament to light. You think you'd fish something like that?
I'd be interested.
You think so? Do you think we're good on our numbers with 1,500 on the pro and 250 on the amateur?
I think so.
Man, I tell you, we have been talking about it, and our guys that are listening to us right now in the show as we go out, our muskie fishermen, we have not forgot about you either. We are coming back with another big muskie tournament. I held the Muskie Classic in 2004, paid out almost $250,000 in cash. Our first place team went out of there with something just short of $90,000. We're in the process of putting together a catch and release muskie tournament the same way. So stay tuned to what we're doing at Team Fishing Circuit. Again, I want to thank Dale, and I really thank you for bringing it up because I wouldn't have done it. But truth of the matter is, it's awesome. We're going to say goodbye to Dale. We're going to say goodbye to all you folks out there. Get off the sofa, get in the car, get mom, kids, get them packed up. Come on down to the show, folks. That's what it's all about. Be part of this industry. We'll see you on the next interview. Bye-bye.